Hello, friends, and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another episode of our live session where we connect together with all our audience to understand their need, understand their questions, listen to their queries, and try responding to them as much as possible. And the whole thing of this live session is all about catering your needs, reaching out to you to understand your concerns, understand your queries, be it about certifications, be it about learning of software testing, how to be a better QA, what could be the career path of being a QA, what you could look forward to understand more about testing, and just answering those questions, what you may have, right? So, whole agenda of this live session is to cater your needs in terms of your queries, questions, doubts, clarifications, concepts, and answer them as much as possible, right? So we're looking forward to more and more questions today as well. As you all are aware, I was slightly away for a vacation and could not manage to keep up with my tutorials for the last 2 weeks. And at the same time, we could not have two live sessions missed over the weekends for the last 2 weeks, and I'm back again. So, yep, you can expect uh, continuation on the tutorials of the from manual testing concepts, that is bootcamp, and you will also be having regular live sessions again from here. So please plan your days accordingly. Look forward to the tutorials and look forward to these live sessions. Ask your questions and make most out of this opportunity when we are connecting together to understand more and being a better QA altogether, right? So looking forward to more questions today as well. Already we have got few uh, viewers here joining us online, and we have SM saying good morning, very good morning, SM. Mani, hi sir, hi Mani. Kishore also says good evening, so good evening, Kishore. Welcome to the live session. So I think the only update which I have is the manual or software testing bootcamp, which we are currently doing right now in our tutorial series. We are looking forward to have great continuation of several concepts of the software testing, and this was on the request of people who wanted to move into software testing, being from a non-technical domain, and at the same time there are many people who are doing testing but not formally trained on testing, right? So we wanted to give them a great understanding at this point of time through these tutorials that what exactly being a QA you should be aware of, right? And helping them to learn more about the concepts of testing, be a better QA themselves, and ask their questions through this portal, through this channel, and get more confidence being a QA. All right, the very first question of the day is coming in from Money. Money says, as 10 years experience guy, what type of experience or expertise should have to survive more years? I think at this point of time, you need to start establishing the management skills of testing, right? I'm talking about being a test manager. So you should be establishing the understanding on what exactly test plan is, how do you write it, what are the constraints you should be taking into account, right? And at the same time, there are several other things which a test manager is responsible for. Presenting QA to the business or client and supporting on several parameters which QA team would require, right? Coordinating to get the requirements, coordinating to get your bugs clarified, coordinating to escalate your bugs to get them fixed quickly, right? So reducing the turnaround time. So there are several matrices which generally your testing consists of, and you work on those matrices at this point of time. So being a test engineer for 10 years, it's time for you to look into managing the QA team or managing the QA organization of your company. If you're working in a small scale company, you might be a test manager altogether for the overall organization, right? And the only specific things what you would need to learn about is the formal way of dealing with several monitoring parameters, highlighting them at the right point of time to the project managers, coordinating with them, like coordinating with your internal and external stakeholders, uh, providing them necessary information, collecting necessary data from them, and assisting your team to be a better QA at all point of time, right? So that would be something what you can look forward to. As of now, I'm good at SQL. I worked on Selenium, Protector, Rest Assured, but currently I'm working as a QA manager, but it's kind of management work, but not technical work. So if I shift to any other company, how can I survive there? No, it's not something, we're talking about non-technical thing. If you are, right? So I'm not saying being a test manager, you should not be doing any technical stuff, right? Talking about testing, coming out with the solutions, coming out with the alternatives to test a particular scenario. A QA will always approach you. There would be always a possibility that an application has certain complexities, and you need to guide your team that how this test system should be tested. So the whole point which I'm trying to make here, Money, is that it's been time for you to test the system. You have been testing the system for a pretty long time. Now it's time for you to guide people to test the system with your expertise. People will look forward to you being a test manager, that what should I do next? Is my test cases? You review the test cases, look forward to what people are writing, how effectively, efficiently your testing is happening. And that's not more of like a non-technical thing, because the task what you are having may look non-technical, but it requires the technical expertise. If I'm testing a system, or my team is testing a system, and my team does not know how to test, what scenarios to prepare, and they just came up with some silly 10, 15 scenarios, then who is responsible to tell them that what more scenarios are required? So you will analyze the requirement equally, you will analyze the scenarios equally, you will understand the protocols of the environment, you will understand the integration of the environment, talking about the availability of the APIs, whether you need to go with mock, you need to go with real, should you wait, should you not wait, right? The dependencies, criticality of the projects, all that is you. You will tell the team that at this point of time, you need to have some more scenarios which you should be doing. So you are just not executing test cases. Please remember this. Being a test manager, you are just not executing the test cases, except that you're doing everything. You are guiding them, you are reading, you're going through the analysis, you are identifying the defect, evaluating the defect, right? You are pretty much involved. A test manager does not sit on a desk to just sign letters like a usual manager. You get involved in the activities in order to help your team build that quality in the product. So you are there at the ground level. If you think you are not involved, get involved. A manager always starts thinking that my responsibility is no longer to write test cases and execute, but you can always review that, which is pretty much the same. What people are writing, you get into each of the test cases and ask them, hi, are you really looking for writing these type of test cases for such application? How are we assuring the quality and confidence to the people? So one or the other way, you are writing the test cases, right? So you guide your team. And it's always, you see, for example, you cannot tell me after 15 or 20 years that why should be a director and how should I survive in the company, right? That's the pretty much same thing. Being a director, you don't do the work, you don't execute the project, but you let that happen. You tell the whole project that no, it's going for a toss. I don't see the matrices. Let the people do the job. But you have a responsibility. You are answerable to the client that what is happening. Because client is talking to you if you're a director, you're a program director, you're a program manager. So you have a lot of responsibility, and you cannot say that I'm not doing anything technical. That's the growth, that's the career path. It requires at some point of time to use your technical expertise and put it back to the team instead of doing it yourself. Okay, so I think that pretty much answers your question. So yep, you say, so if I shift to any other company, okay, thank you so much for your clarification. Is any certification helpful more? Yeah, you can look forward to add more value from ISTQB Test Manager certification, which is one core from the testing side. You can also top up with PMP, which would be adding more value for any other organization to jump into. So PMP certifications or ISTQB Test Manager and expert level certifications would be very beneficial. So three things you can look forward to. All the very best, Money, and let me know if you have any more questions. Okay, we got Hamid. Hamid says, hello, Neer sir. Hi, Hamid. Good to see you after a long time. How was your vacation? The vacation has been great. It was really, I was visiting Singapore, and they somehow allowed people after a long break to visit the place. And yeah, it has been really great, great time. Nice memories. Thank you so much for asking that, Hamid. I think we are looking forward to more questions. I do understand this was on a short notice. I could have scheduled this call much earlier for people to be aware of that there will be a call happening at least this weekend, right? So we would just want to make sure that all of you are here and slowly go ahead and put up your questions. Hey, Tahir, welcome to the live session. So I'll be also continuing ahead. Meanwhile, we will get the next question. I'll be also continuing ahead on our the technical talks, which I started before taking this short break, and we'll be talking about some great content. And I'm also looking forward to expand it to the other social networks like probably LinkedIn and so on. So I might be doing some parallel streaming to other platforms too. So look forward to some great content, great discussions coming up to add more value to your knowledge. And just, I would suggest talking about LinkedIn. I want you to spread it further and let people know about that. There are some great technical discussions happening from people like me, and you have great to learn from them. Okay, let me just quickly pick up as I started getting a lot of questions here. Tahir says, for ISTQB test manager, how much experience is required? And this experience should be as task manager specifically. Okay, there are two parameters on that question, Tahir. Number one, that if you're talking from the prerequisite point of view, you don't need any specific experience to appear for the examination. They have a criteria of at least 18 months of experience, and that could be as a tester also. Okay, they really don't need it as being a test manager because that's not a criteria from ISTQB. So you just need to showcase experience letter from your current organization, or maybe your previous organization relieving letter would also do the job, that you have been working in software industry as a tester, or probably just software engineering with at least 18 months of experience, right? So a fresher cannot take the test manager, though he's qualified with foundation. That's the point. So at least 18 months of experience, not necessarily as a test manager, uh, should be there as a prerequisite. But again, if you're talking from the point of knowledge, that was from the point of prerequisite, right? So from the knowledge point of view, of course, you should have some great understanding of what it takes to be called as test manager, right? Talking about test planning, monitoring, control, entry criteria, exit criteria, managing a project, taking decisions, defining alternatives, right? Overcoming the barriers, highlighting the risk, talking about risk management. So all those things, whatever you see in the syllabus, should be there as a knowledge in order to succeed in the examination. So one is prerequisite, second is how to pass the examination, right? So the knowledge, that would be something crucial for you to succeed with the certification, right? And I hope that meets your expectation. Or someone with experience of testing, not as a test manager, can also take the exam. Yes, absolutely. I think that was covered in my response now. Hamid says, Neeraj sir, there has been so much increasing demand of automation. Where to start from? Can you say something on this? Yes, Hamid, you can start with the functional testing, okay, because that would be something simple and easy to kick off. You can pick up Selenium, being an open source and very widely used in the market. The reason I'm recommending an open source because a lot of organizations are using it. Okay, so all the organization using Selenium, then you have better opportunities to get started earlier, right? You don't have to wait for some time. There are some great tools in the market, but the point is not many organizations use it. So you will have limitations to switch into that organization or switch into that particular tool or get a job of automation, right? So start with Selenium, and you can use, I would suggest Java or Python to start learning that, because Python supporting AI and ML and sort of thing, right? You will have great demand on that. Or Java is still like at least 60% of the Selenium share in the corporate world is using Java, right? So you still have a major share there. So either that's your choice. You can go with Java Selenium or Python Selenium. So you can start smaller. A smaller means functional testing. Talk about unit testing, talking about creating unit frameworks and integration and regression test, right? That's what I mean when I say functional testing. right? Then slowly, once you have a good grip on the automation part, you can start looking into the non-functional side of it, or maybe some specialized testing of automation. Like you talk about API testing, that could be side by side, not a difficult job to do is API testing, but non-functional, for example, performance testing and all. And that completely depends on your career. If you are doing performance testing in your career ahead, that's where the tool will be supporting you. So you may need to know an automation testing tool there. So if you're in functional testing right now, get started with Selenium. Two languages to pick up, Java or Python. Okay, anyone should be fine. Okay, we have Sadia Begum saying hello. Hello, Sadia. Can I get the PPT access link for foundation level? Oh, I think that's already published on my website, so you can find them on the slide share. So if you want, I can quickly um, put that link to you. Oh, yeah, I think it should be my slide itself. Yeah, here it is. So kind of like on the top on Google. So sometimes I find it easy to quickly reach out to my own content instead of typing the whole thing. I just go to Google and ask Google to do that. Today, a lot of keyword is supporting my content, and that helps me, in fact, on many of our audience to quickly reach out to us. Thank you. So Sadia, here's the link, and you can still continue on that page to look for the different chapter syllabus or different chapter PPT, right? Amit says, will your new series cover the topic of API testing? Yes. I'll be talking about the fundamental concepts of API testing. I may not jump into the tools because I would like to create a different set of tutorials for the tools specifically. So right now I'll be covering the theoretical concepts of API testing for sure. Money says, if possible, could you please create a training series on ISTQB foundation level exam? Really? Okay. I understand, Money, that you are new to our channel, right? We have almost all certification tutorials available on this channel. So all you need is a slight exploration. Please click on the channel name below this video and go to my page. There, click on playlist, and you would find the foundation level playlist already ready for you. Okay, so all the very best, Money. SM says, I would like to go for performance or security testing after my foundation. What's your advice and what should I go in for first? And besides, which one is easier to pass? I'm in the US. So, SM, when it comes to the next level of certification, you are targeting performance and security. I would tell you something that performance certification, performance tester certification is simpler because it is at foundation level. Security is at the advanced level. And you may have to put a little more extra effort to qualify for the security tester, right? But when it comes to performance, I think it could be just like your foundation level examination. So that could be the next which you can target, right? So I just want to sequence it for you. You take up the foundation level first, then go for a performance specialist, and then go for security. Okay? But don't relate it. It's not that a hard and fast rule that you should always go in this direction. It's just that from the examination point of view, you will have some relaxation or ease of understanding things and qualifying it, like passing the exam at performance level simpler than security. So if you, as you asked me, which would be easier to go first, then I'm recommending you. But both are different, right? Both are different. Performance is different than security. So you will have to start from the scratch to get started and learn about that and then get into that, right? So yeah, but as you asked me, which will be easier, please go with this direction. You start with performance, then go to security. Amit says, is endurance testing a part of performance testing? Yes, it is. Endurance testing is one of the type of performance testing, just with the brother and sisters like load, stress, volume, and spike, right? These are all part of performance testing. And endurance is more about applying a consistent load for continuous period of time. For example, 20 users getting added every 30 seconds to the server, then how does the system react? Okay, continuously for maybe 24 hours, but every 30 seconds 10 users are being added every 30 seconds for 24 hours. So what happens to that? And very simple example to understand this in our real world. For example, if I ask you to do 10 sit-ups, I think you would be comfortable enough to do 10 sit-ups or push-ups and say, yeah, I think I'm all okay. This is something very simple for me. But if I ask you to do 100 push-ups in one go, then you may feel exhausted at some point, maybe 50 or 60, 70, whatever it is, depending on your stamina, right? You cannot do 100 push-ups in one go. But this is what I want to ask my application. Can you handle 1000 users if I add them 10 by 10 every 30 seconds? Well, how do you feel? And if the system crashes, I understand they cannot handle this. I need to improvise the design. I need to work on certain parameters. So endurance is all about that. Hamid also says, what are edge cases? Edge cases just are boundary values. You've been through the boundary values. You understand those are the edge cases, which are to check on the edges of each boundary. Or even if you generally talk about a scenario, which is having a range, when you check the extreme edges of it, is what you call it as edge cases. Okay, so yep, that's the question, and that's the response for that. We're looking forward to more questions, team. It's just 20 past our live session, and we'll be having another 40 minutes to go from our live session. And we want to answer as many questions as possible as we are connecting after 2 weeks of break. And we would see if there are more and more questions to be answered today. So we're looking forward to your queries. Hami says, when it comes to the term testing environment, does the operating system also be a part of it? Yes, of course, because the main platform is built on the operating system. And without the operating system, I don't think that pretty much makes any sense. It certainly limits to a software-based environment, right? For example, when I'm talking about setting up a virtual machine, then the platform is my operating system. If I'm talking about building up a kind of environment which is on a cloud, then also I understand what is the database, what is the operating system being used there. But if that application is completely different, for example, an banking application, right? I may not be using any operating system there to make a swipe. But there are different operating systems for such machines. For example, POS. The POS machine has an internal inbuilt software, and that will be a part of it in order to check if the card can be swiped, right? Similarly, for an ATM machine, if ATM machine is a computer, then you need an operating system there. So yes, operating system will be a part of your environment. Yes, team, looking forward to more and more questions. This session is for me to keep talking, not waiting for something to come up, right? So keep dropping your questions as and when it comes to your mind. If you're here just to listen, you can also listen to these conversations because you can always learn from other sessions. When other people ask questions, you can always look forward to have some great understanding being built, and at the same time understanding what exactly the concepts of testing are while people are asking great questions here. Okay, Hamid has another question. Before the application goes into the production, where is the application tested, like on cloud or some physical server? No, it's all the test environment, okay? It's all the test environment before production. So production is real. And before that, all your stages are virtual. Okay, virtual in the sense that just like real, but not exactly available to the end users. Okay, not with the real uh, applications, other applications, maybe contradicting interfaces, etc. So right from UAT, you will have more like production, but before that, it will be just limited to what we need to test that system. So right from UAT, you will start having some more things being added, but production will be exactly a reality. So what is the basic difference between simulator and emulator? Okay, so simulator and emulator are two things which helps you to populate a virtual environment for certain applications which are embedded, okay, or maybe collection of software and hardware together is what I mean by simple terms. So simulation is more of like simulating a real device. For example, when it comes to automotive testing or when it comes to mobile application testing, I hope you understand that I may not afford all possible devices which are available in the market today to test my app. Okay, I may have so many variants of every company and so many different models, and I just don't have buy all those models and give it to our testers to test this new application. So I will take help of simulator, which will simulate the real device. Of course, we understand that this is a simulator which is acting like a real device on your desktop, but this is not a real device. Okay, it can be configured as per the real device, like what is the RAM, what is the operating system, and sort of thing, but it is still on the desktop, correct? So inside that, you will get a virtual environment like cell phone. The options will be exactly like a cell phone. Second thing, emulator, which is just from the point of the software. That means you won't have the physical memories. You will just get a platform where you can run this, but you won't have the hardware configuration like sensors, etc. You will just have a fixed kind of hardware and connectivity options like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and sort of thing. But you may not have all the geosensors or the accelerators and many other different devices which you get, probably the camera and sort of thing. So you may be limiting yourself on the hardware part of it, but the software will always be there. So it's just a slight difference between simulator and emulator. Simulator will be more like the real device with the exact configurations, and emulator will be limited to the software part, but may not have all the hardware or may not have all the sensors what you need, which is a part of the hardware. Okay, so mainly used by automotive industries, aviation industries, or you talk about your mobile applications and sort of thing. So it seems you were asked in one of the interviews about Big Bang integration. What does it actually mean? Uh, when it comes to Big Bang is an approach of doing integration testing. There are three different approaches. I'm sure you should have covered in the foundation level. We have top-down approach, bottom-up approach, and Big Bang approach. So top-down and bottom-up is used for incremental integration testing, where the sequence of the modules are defined. Like for example, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no possibility I can jump from module number 1 to module number 5. Okay, that's top-down approach. Bottom-up approach is more of like the reverse, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here again, I cannot jump from 5 to 3 without 4. Okay, that's bottom up. And the third one is Big Bang. Here, the applications are not sequential. That means every single module is connected to all other modules. For example, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? I can jump from anywhere to anywhere. I don't really have to follow a sequence in order to complete a job. There's no transaction like flight applications, booking a flight, booking a hotel, booking a bus ticket, right? You need to follow a sequence. They're all sequential. But Gmail, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're all non sequential. That means any link to any link, you can jump. And that's what you call it as Big Bang approach. Okay? Where the sequence of modules are not necessarily important and you test it just like connecting all modules to each other. So you need to make sure that each page allows you to jump to all other options. And that's going to be slightly hectic. When you test websites, when you test social media networks or websites like that, so all these are Big Bang approaches. I hope that makes sense to you. All right, team, if you are really happy with the responses which we are providing to you, do not forget to drop a thumbs up on our live session because we want people to know that there's a live session happening here where we can answer your questions. So they should be here getting their doubts clarified because this is the only platform. This is the only platform and only session where we are answering QA related questions to the people flawlessly. There's no other portal, there's no other website, there's no other organization which is answering your QA related questions free of cost anywhere. So we just need that minimum courtesy from you to let your colleagues, let your friends know that if they are trying to explore testing, they have some queries about testing, they should be here and get their doubts clarified. And tell them the condition is you don't really have to be a subscriber of the channel in order to ask a question. Okay? We never beg like other YouTubers to like, share, subscribe, and sort of thing. I only request you to like this video so that YouTube can promote it to reach more and more people. But subscribing is completely optional. We never ask you to be a mandatory subscriber to get the knowledge or get the doubts clarified here on this live session. So feel free to let your people know, let your audience understand, let your colleagues know that if they have queries, they have concerns about testing, there is a platform where we are giving you answers free of cost and without any conditions. Okay? No limitations, no compromise on the quality of responses which you get for your concerns, and we would like to meet you as much as possible. Hamid says, is sanity testing same as regression testing? No, they are different. Sanity is from an objective of making sure what you got delivered with. Okay, for example, when developers say that we have created a new module and we are pushing it for testing, you do a quick check of some basic functionality that whether this is working, that is working, that is working, but not a thorough testing of it. And then say, yeah, I see most of the features, important features are working here. So it is good for us to start testing thoroughly. That's sanity. Regression is more about making sure that an enhancement, that enhancement could be adding a new line of code, deleting a new line of code, or editing the existing line of code, is not causing any impact on the existing. Okay? If you had headache and you took a medicine to overcome your headache, does not mean that your hand should start paining, your leg should start paining, or you should start vomiting, right? No. No side effects. Only headache should go, right? So when developers do the enhancements of an existing application or try to fix a defect, this fix should not impact the unwanted, unchanged part of the application. That's called as regression, and that could be thorough. That could be a thorough measure of thorough testing of the application. Except that part, everything else will be tested. So that's regression. So there's a big difference between sanity and regression. Okay, that answers your question, Hamid. Yes, team, anyone else looking forward to more questions? You have any queries, any concerns, feel free to utilize this platform. This platform is only, this live session is only to answer your questions. We just don't come here to provide a status update or kind of, have fun with you. It's more of like supporting you, more of like giving you the best outputs or probably what you're stuck with, trying to resolve those issues and come out of that. Can regression testing be done manually? Yeah, why not? There's no restriction that what can be done manually, what can be done automatically. You can do any testing manually as well as automatically. It's just that you need to take a decision what is good at what point, right? Which will yield you best results in a given timeline. So being regression, being hectic, because mostly you'll have a big bunch of test cases, right? Maybe a 500 test cases or maybe 1,000 test cases at points, at times. So you may not be doing that manually. And it depends how frequently you do your regression testing. If you do 3 month once, like a bank application, then probably you don't need all that. But when you do it for frequently, like every week, 500 test cases, manual is not an option. But regressions are always a good candidate of automation. but it's not mandatory that it should be automated. If you are working in a small application, your project is pretty small, hardly have some 20 task cases or 50 task cases, then you don't need to spend time or waste your time building up an automation framework. You can pretty much do that manually because everything, okay, everything, when you sit and just relax in your office hours, is costing the project. Okay, so if you start working on something which might not be beneficial and you log your hours in the timesheets that today I worked 6 hours analyzing an automation tool, that cost is included and you measure that. So it's not necessarily that everything should be going into the automation. Depends on the criterias. You fulfill the criterias and then see the demand of automation. You can always do manual, but if manual is going hectic, time consuming, not cost effectiveness, then you go for automation. Okay. Tahir says in automotive world, there are some terms like pill and will. What are these terms all about? We know about sill, mill, hill. And what about pill and will? I've covered this in my automotive syllabus, so I think you should have read there. And will is, of course, vehicle in loop, and pill is actually out of our syllabus. So you do have pill, but I think that should be something which I don't remember right now. Let me just quickly recall that. So the pill is processor in the loop. Okay. Pill is processor in the loop, right? So SIL software, mill model, and hill is hardware, and then you have vehicle in loop, which is the last stage, right? And pill is processor in the loop, so it comes before the hill. So the sequence is mill, sil, pill, hill, and will. Okay, so model in loop, software in loop, processor in loop, then the hardware in loop, and then comes vehicle in loop. Finally, the vehicle, the real vehicle, you implement that anyway. So that's the sequence. So pill is processor in loop, right? So I think there is an alternative name to that as well, and that should be called as FPGA simulation. Okay, so that's another professional terminology for the processor. Okay, yeah. So what do you say here, Ma? These days we have been listening about Docker in the field of testing. Can you please put some light on Docker and how is it integrated with field of testing? So, okay, when it comes to the technology today we are talking about, um, it's more of kind of the pipelines, right? We are talking about DevOps, we are talking about continuous integration. So in order to, let's take it very simple first, Tahir, which will be easy to relate as you're looking forward to it for the first time. I am in India right now and I want to get into an export business. Okay, I manufacture goods, kind of, I deal with some raw products which I produce in my place, and I want to export it to another country where there's a lot of demand. Probably a lot of Indians are there, and I want to let them also have the feeling that of home. So I want to ship it, right? I may choose options like air cargo, or I can use the waterways, that is ship cargo. So on the ship, you see the containers which carry your goods, right? We heard about a lot in the past about evergreen. That time a lot of people came to know about shipping and other things, right? So they carry containers which contains the goods of the people being shipped from one location to another location. Now that medium is carrying your information or goods from one place, that is India, and probably being shipped to another country like Australia, and that's being shipped through a way which is called as waterways and has a container on the ship dedicated for you, right? Again, reaching there, the container will be unloaded and goods will be supplied to their destination. Same way, when we talk about the DevOps, when we talk about a pipeline, we talk about continuous integrations, we are moving things from one stage to another stage, like development environment to testing environment testing, we again may have our QA, SIT or QA, then UAT, production, and sort of thing, right? So the medium, which is used to migrate the code from one stage to another stage, is called as a pipeline. Okay, and this pipeline can be of a tool, and that tool is called as Docker. Okay, the Docker is a medium, it's a framework, it's a platform which helps you to move things, codes, or information, mainly the product, from one platform to another platform or one stage to another stage. So that's about Docker. And yeah, you can look forward to understand Docker, which would be adding great value to your understanding if in case you are working there. Okay. But not necessarily testers get involved with DevOps, right? Because DevOps will be dedicated team of members, generally developers or someone who is interested to know about that. But yeah, it would be important for you to see the pipeline to understand has your code been built or delivered. If not, then you may be required to have an automation test suite embedded to this pipeline that whenever a new code is deployed, this code should trigger to test it, right? Automated regression test suite on every deployment. So yeah, a lot of these things can happen. So Docker basic understanding would be great, but not a deep dive. How to create a pipeline and sort of thing, a tester doesn't really need to know. Hami says, how can someone be good at writing test cases prior any job experience? Because test scenario is given in the interview and candidate is expected to validate that scenario by writing effective test cases. The reason I laughed, Hamid, here is because suddenly a funny incident came into my mind. Exactly the same. Talking about interview, talking about experience of writing test cases without the experience, right? So the incidents will answer your question as well. I had been to an interview when I was like graduating from my college, and the interviewer, or let me start from the job profile. The job profile was for a game tester, and the interviewer asked me a question after asking very silly questions, which they usually ask to a fresher. He asked me, "How much experience do you have in game testing?" And I was like, "You didn't see my file properly or resume that I'm a fresher. I'm just graduating from the college." And I said, "You know what? I'm kind of like no experience on game testing." And he said, "Oh, fine. Okay, no problem. So are you eager to learn and sort of thing?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah. I will always love to learn that." And they just asked me to wait outside. One of my friend again went after that and he asked the same question to him as well, that do you have any experience on game testing? And he said 8 years of experience on game testing. Okay. And when he came back, I asked him, did he ask you this question? He said, yes. He asked me this question, whether you have experience on game testing or not. And I asked him, what did you answer? He said, 8 years of experience is what I answered. And he got shortlisted. I got rejected. Then I asked him, that what made you to say that you have 8 years of experience on game testing? He said, boss, I have been playing games for 8 years. And game testing is done by playing the game. There's no other way. You play the game, each and every level, each and every weapon, each and every asset, you make use of it at every level, and then you make sure that it is working fine. And I've been playing games for 8 years, so I have 8 years of game testing experience. I said, that's a silly thought, but makes a big difference. The same way here. When they ask you in the interviews, they give you the scenarios which they understand that you know. Okay? They will give you a simple thing, how to test a pen, how to test a cell phone. You have been using cell phone for years together and you just have to populate it. What is that you need to learn is, did you learn a formal way of writing test cases or not? What's the template? What should you write? How should you write? Right? But you have been testing cell phone. For example, if somebody says how to make a call on a cell phone has to be tested, then my first step, the first test case will be to unlock the cell phone, go to the dial option, enter the number, or if you have a contact book scenario, then go to the phone book, search for that particular person with the name, and then tap on it, make a call. How to disconnect a call? Press the red button when you are already on a call. So I know the steps, right? I just have to put it in English term. There's no big science, rocket science involved behind that. But the point is, they want to also understand not only this English, they want to understand, do you know what all information to include when writing a test case? You need a unique ID, test case ID. You need an objective to define what are you testing. You need set of prerequisites. You need the set of test data to pass on. What is the expected result, right? So a lot of people go wrong there. They are writing great test cases, but they don't follow the format, and you get rejected. So being a fresher, you don't really need an experience to write a test case. They will always ask you a scenario which you can actually understand, or probably you have been using it. For example, if they can give you application like Make My Trip, they can give you application like Gmail, that okay, sending a new mail, write some test cases for that. You have been writing emails for the job opening. You know how to test it. So you just have to write the scenario, positive and negative. Positive, the valid one. Negative, the mail should not go. So you missed out the mandatory field like subject, or you did not write to, right? You skip that to. You don't write an email in the to field, and the mail should not go, right? So this is all you have to do. So some given scenarios will be simple enough for the freshers, but yeah, still they expect that do you really know what is testing? Not just telling verbally that I'll just fill up all the fields and send it. That sounds stupid, right? You need to tell them, oh no, I need to identify my test cases uniquely. I need to have an objective that what the hell I'm doing. Prerequisite to tell me if I need anything to be there before, right? Test data, if any inputs are involved, because that could be sometime very critical. PIN code does not accept phone numbers, right? It cannot be of any number of digits. It's standard that it will be 6 digit and only between these to these range. I cannot write 0000 6 digit value as a valid PIN code, right? It always have some standards. So test data is crucial. The steps what a user will perform and the expected outcome. What do you expect to happen? Okay, so that's how it is, right? So look forward to that. That would be the expectation from any interviewer, any organization in this world, right? SM is, I think, learning a lot from our discussions itself. Is just saying thank you, you're welcome. The I says thank you again. Explanation is very simple. That's always my way of teaching things. I always take it up in a very, very layman level so that anyone can understand. Because this is a public response, not specifically for one person. Let everyone else also understand about these concepts and learn from that. SM size, please, sir, by when do you think you will round up the boot camp we are working on, right? And I mean, finish all the topics. I think I would need another month to complete because there will be at least more than 20 lectures, more than 20 lectures, or maybe more. I think I would need more time. Okay, I would need at least 2 months of time because I'm going to detail everything and cover up a lot. But don't worry, you'll have great learnings happening on the way, and you will be exploring side by side a lot of detailed things to understand. So, yeah, I just want to take more time on this to cover everything and make it a perfect boot camp, which will be reusable for anyone joining in later. Um, yeah, I'm currently working on it. So, from Monday, you'll have a regular set of videos. Hamid says, thank you so much for giving a detailed answer. You'll always welcome, Hamid. Sadia says, sir, can you please tell me more about Hill and Sill with some real-time applications? Okay, when it comes to Hill and Sill, I think the software in loop is the first thing. Sill. Here, we have an approach of testing the automotive components, or basically a part of the part of the automotive which your company is building up. So, say for example, you're talking about uh, having a simple multimedia device, right? A multimedia system to manage multimedia playbacks in your automotive. And now you have established a feature. Then a person is driving slow or probably on a reverse gear. The multimedia sound, if the song is getting played, sound should automatically come down because I want the person to concentrate on. The speed is low, the volume is low. The reverse gear is on, volume is low, right? So I created a multimedia system separate, independent in my company. But I want this to be sold to BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and a lot many other company, right? So I want to tell them that this is how it works. So for that, I first start to test the multimedia itself. Then I integrate the software components, which will be reading out my multimedia sensors or effectiveness through an ECU, right? Electronic control unit. That's the software in loop. And then comes the hardware in loop, which will be operating it. For example, if there are some fittings involved, kind of ECU integration with certain other embedded systems to control that. So those hardwares will also come into loop. So then comes VIL, which is vehicle. That means accelerator. Accelerator will come in the next environment after hill. Okay? Without accelerator, you can finally not test it. That how the accelerator speed is, and you gradually increase the volume. It's not that you hit 40 and suddenly it raises too high. Okay? Gradually. As the speed goes on, the volume gets increased. As the speed reduces, the volume reduces. Right? So then the accelerator part will come in the VIL. The ECU and other speakers, etc., will be a part of your hill. And SIL will just have your multimedia, where you have other components to support multimedia to run. The software environment to see that whether the multimedia is operatable or not. Model in loop is just the basic component. So that's the overall sequence what you have. So currently in scope is mill, sill, and hill. Will is limited. That means you don't do that. You sell it all, and then the person will do it. Or probably you can have one automotive and you try there. That's it. So the person whom you sell it to, they will do the test in their environment. So Audi, Mercedes, BMW, they will test in will. They will integrate your multimedia system to their car and see whether it is really happening. They will drive it and see it and all sort of things. So does it make any sense? Let me know if you have more questions. Yes, team, we are hardly 8 minutes away from our live session completion. You got some more questions, feel free to let me know. Or else just don't forget to drop a thumbs up if you're happy with our service, what we are providing you. And please spread the word. Let people know that these live sessions are here to help you understand the concepts, learn better, and be a better QA themselves. Yasim, looking forward to more questions. You've got more. I'm here to answer them before we sign off for the day. Okay, we got another 7 minutes to go from our live session. Looking forward to more questions. Team, you're always free to ask any sort of questions. It's not something that your question should be of great level, that when you're in this forum, you should only ask some complex questions or something. No, you can always have even a silly question to talk about, because for us, any question, any participant is important, and we want to answer everything. Okay, so you should be looking forward to just put up your question on the chat, and we are just having everything here. All right, Ty says, when are you giving me that TM Square shirt? Missing that shirt today. Sure, let us plan some event. I think I'm just back from a vacation, so I could not have enough time to plan out something, but we'll be looking forward to have some great interaction from all the people, and we'll just announce it in advance so that we can have some good competition as well. And let us come up with a best way to uh, see what we can give away to you at that point, right? It should not be just like I'm just distributing things as complimentary gifts, but I just want to make it more ethical, that you deserve it, right? So I'll be putting it across in a very professional way and put it on Amazon so that we can buy it anywhere in the world. Sure, why not? I would love to do that once it becomes a kind of hoodie from the TM Square. We can always publish that. Let's let it become a brand first. That says, what about mock interviews of test engineer? Do you have some plans for that? Yeah, I think I would be looking forward to do that also. But I, for some reason, I don't feel like doing what everyone is doing, thinking that is a trend, right? For example, people all of a sudden started interviewing people on their channel and bringing more to them. But I, for some reason, feel that it's just kind of a flow that everyone is doing. Let me also do it. But if it helps people, that makes sense. If it's just for fun, people are not watching that. Probably they are more interested in understanding the the knowledge. Then probably I invest more time. So I give them answers here in this live session because they don't do the live sessions and they want to have more audience, right? So they are trying to attract audience. But instead of doing that, why don't they take up the live questions from their audience? Is what would be my suggestion. Because again, in an interview, I think I'm just asking you a limited set of questions, but I'm not preparing you for everything, right? So I should be here in these type of sessions where I give you open platform that come up. What is that you want? And let me answer you. Let me guide you well for all that. So I may look forward to such things, Tahir, and would certainly do that. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to see if that's really helpful than this live session, and would look forward to that. And more question, one more question. Which series are you going to start related to exam questions? CDFL is done. So what's next? Agile, please. Oh yeah, sure. I think currently I'm occupied with the software testing bootcamp. I will also again do the poll to ask people what they want next. And yeah, I think Agile should be the next. That's the next big audience which I have, and they'll be looking forward to it. Right? Okay. So Pramod said, what is Hill and Sill? Okay, I think we have been talking about automotive a lot today. And yes, Sill is software in loop where you don't have hardware integrated. And the next phase is Hill, another environment where you have software as well as hardware in loop. So it's just like incrementing in the environments to test the system as we proceed. So Mill, Sill, Hill, modern in loop, software in loop, and hardware in loop, right? So yeah, that's pretty much. We got 2 more minutes approximately to go from our live session team. Anybody wants to make a last minute hit? If you got a question, just feel free to drop that. If not, don't worry. You always have offline modes to reach out to me. I've been responding to at least 50 comments a day. There's have been a lot of things which are coming up. At least people come back and report me that they succeeded in their examination and they want me to know that the tutorial was helpful to them, right? So I always respond to all my comments which people answer, but still I think I'm not perfect enough. I most of the time miss out a lot of defects because I don't have so much time to respond each and every one, and I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I try to answer as many comments as possible so people find it the best way to reach out to me offline as well, right? So feel free to drop a comment later also if you think you have question and you could not make it to this live session and you want to ask something. I'm always available. If not, you have several other mediums in the description of each of my video that you can reach out to me through LinkedIn, you can reach out to me through Facebook, and I answer there as well, right? So you have all possible ways to reach out to me. You can even have my email address, which is in my about page of the application, the YouTube, and you can write an email to me, and I'll respond to you with very detailed responses with some great attachments, right? So feel free to always reach out. It's more about reaching me out if you have a question. If you don't reach out, I cannot understand, cannot help you, cannot respond to you. So more importantly, you should ask me your questions so that I can help you, right? Tahir says, great, I already voted for Agile, waiting for that. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Tahir Hamid says, thank you so much for a great session today, as always. Stay happy and blessed. See you next week. Thank you, Ahmed, for that. So yeah, I think that was pretty much we had for today's session, team. And you have been a great audience again to put up your questions, ask your queries, making this live session successful. So I want to thank each and every person who participates in this live session, because this session is incomplete without your questions and your presence, right? So I thank each and every one of you for being a part of this live session, asking your questions, at least listening to this session to learn more from us, right? So that's all from today's live session, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for being a part of this live session, and happy learning. I'll see you next week again. Thank you. Stay happy and stay safe. Take care, team.